Hello YouTube, welcome to another episode of Run Level 0. Today we're going to conduct another desktop review. We're going to be taking a look at KWheezy. Now as the name implies, KWheezy is built on top of Debian-wheezy, KDE Desktop Edition. At this time, Wheezy is the latest stable branch of the Debian operating system. Now because it's one of the oldest Linux distributions, Debian makes a really stable, solid platform to build your distro on top of. Like I said, it offers stability, it's well tested, it's secure, and distributions built on top of KWheezy will benefit from Debian's rolling release cycle. Now what that means is, once you install the base operating system of Debian or another rolling release distro, there's never a need to upgrade your system. You won't ever have to reinstall the operating system or get an upgrade disk in order to ensure that you have the latest version, simply by virtue of allowing your system to receive its regular updates. You can rest assured that you'll always have the latest version of your OS and the software that's included with it. Now the folks over at KWheezy have set their sights on creating a distribution that is aimed at those that are totally new to Linux, at creating a safe, user-friendly environment that will be familiar to those that are coming over from Windows. Now the K desktop environment, the Plasma desktop, is a good choice for that. Plasma is solid, it's stable, it's feature-rich, highly customizable, and it will present a interface that is familiar and comfortable for those that are used to Windows. It has a very Windows-esque layout, and the menus, the placement of all the controls will be very comfortable for a Windows user with minimal training. Starting with the website, the KWheezy website is graphically pleasing. It's laid out in an intuitive, easy to navigate fashion. In the About section we have their mission statement. It says that it's not so much a distribution based on Debian, but rather a well-configured Debian KDE installer. It is designed to give you more out of the box, to be easier for Linux or Debian newcomers. It is full-featured with all the applications, plugins, fonts, and drivers you need for daily use, and some more. Now, it's an interesting statement. One of the things about Debian that I've noticed working off of a base Debian system, Debian is dedicated to open source, and it uses only open source technology. As such, if you just took a Debian base operating system and installed it on your computer, you're going to get something that's very Spartan. You may not have all the latest drivers, especially for your video and wireless cards. You're not going to have the Java and the Flash pre-installed and ready to go. So for a new Linux user, that can put them off quite easily. Looks like KWheezy is attempting to overcome that and make Debian a bit more user-friendly. So let's take a look at the system. I have it running right now on a virtual box. I've given it 2 GB of RAM, and I'm running an i3 processor. This is the live version. I have installed it, and it functions very well installed. I just wanted to give you a shot of what you're going to see when you first boot in. Now one of the things that the KWheezy developers have done, they've gone out of their way to make configuring their system as easy and user-friendly as possible. So with that in mind, there are several GUIs that they've created or that they've made available that will help automate some of the more, shall we say, tedious tasks for a new Linux user. One of those is the keyboard selector. This is probably one of the most comprehensive keyboard selectors I've seen in Linux. And what it will do for you, and this is what you see, this is automatically launched when you first log in. This will allow you to select the specific keyboard that you're using so you can get the maximum benefit from any custom keyboards that you might have, your keyboard layout, any variants within those settings, and then you just click apply and you'll be done. Okay. So now, taking a look at KWheezy, I like their theme that they've chosen here. It's different, it's pleasing to the eye, it's easy on the eye. They've gone with a black, silver, and looks like a fuchsia or pink color scheme that's carried over into the Conky, which is pre-configured and launched at startup. So it'll give you a good overview of your system resources and what's going on with your system. On the desktop, we have the installer for KWheezy. Down in the tray, we have a desktop switcher. You have Thunderbird, Firefox, the Reconc web browser. You have a quick launcher for Dolphin as the file manager. You can look in the sys tray. There's a lot going on down here out of the box, and this is one thing that I wish they would have slimmed down on. With all this running in the background, it can be a little heavy on system resources, but of course you have your notifier. This is pretty interesting. You have a compositor control panel here where you can toggle compositing on and off. So if you're using a system maybe with some less resources, you can turn off compositing altogether. There's something for HP here, HP lip status service. Okay, again, that's something that probably doesn't need to be running in the background. iBus input method for your framework. Then you have a clipboard manager, the network managers, and so forth available in the sys tray, the task manager there. They've gone with a more traditional menu layout. I would have personally liked to seen the kickstart menu here by default. I think it would have been a little easier, more visually appealing for those new Linux users, but this works. It's intuitive, it's laid out in an easy to read fashion. Of course, most Linux menus are laid out, the grouping is intuitive. Let's see what we have here. Under development, AdConI console, IPython, IPython Qt console, and KDiff3. There's a lot going on in this distribution. Under education, you have, if I can get it open, you have Marble, which is a desktop globe. This thing is loaded with games. So if you're a gamer, if you're into Linux gaming, this may be a distro for you. You have several subdivisions of games, subcategories. They have Play on Linux that's already installed, and Steam. Under graphics, again, just a lot going on here, including Inkscape. You have the GIMP, you have Carbon, K-Snapshot, Panorama is in there, Scribus is in there, Xane. Yeah, so you just have a whole lot going on in here. Under Internet, once again, more than you could probably ever want. You have Firefox, Google Earth, Google Gadgets Qt. You have Kmail, Conqueror, Copete, instant messaging, KRDC for remote desktop clients, Reconc web browser, TeamViewer's already installed. Again, Thunderbird. For multimedia, you have Audacity and Clementine and Dragon Player. You have K3B as your burner. Kdenlive is already installed, which is nice. I like Kdenlive. You're seeing something recorded on it now. VLC and WinFF, which is the front end for FFmpeg. Under Office, wow, you have LibreOffice and you have Calligra, both Office suites already installed, ready to go. You have Plan for project management. So there's a whole bunch here as well. Under Science and Math, GNU TextMax Editor. Of course, you have your settings menu. Now, as I mentioned before, the developers at KWheezy have developed or produced several GUIs to help automate some tasks that may be more difficult for the new Linux users. And you'll find a few of those in here. You have the KWheezy Auto Start Chooser, which will simply allow you to select a few, let's get it going here, a few auto start applications. You can toggle them on and off, whether or not you want them starting at whenever your system starts. And you can choose from Yockwake, which is a drop-down terminal, Jitsi, a multi-protocol instant message client, or Conky, which is on your desktop. So you can choose whether or not you want that to start automatically at startup or not. So let's close that out. They also have their KWheezy profiler. Now this was interesting to me. There we go. KWheezy profiler will allow you to, once your system is installed, you can save the settings for the profiles that you have or the user accounts that you have on your system. That's pretty neat. You can back them up, you can reset them to defaults, you can restore from backup. Just makes managing the user accounts a little bit easier. Oops, sorry about that. Go back down into it. Again, this is a live system that we're running this on. Under System, you can see they have KWheezy Debi, which is, I believe, for an installer manager. You have your keyboard selector that was launched at startup. KWheezy Live USB. This was a pretty neat little feature here where you can go in. It's kind of like Remaster Sys, which I'm not sure, it may be using that as its back end, but KWheezy Live USB, just from the command line, if you type in KWheezy or sudo KWheezy Live USB, it will automatically remaster your system for you into an ISO. So you can make customizations, you can make changes, and then remaster your own ISO based on KWheezy. The KWheezy Localizer allows you, in fact, let's go back and take a peek at that. They have something, instead of launching it all on the live CD, they have on their website a nice breakdown of what they have to offer. It's going a little bit slow because I have so much going on here. But their website gives you a good tour of what they have to offer. We've talked about the Auto Start Chooser. They have a video driver selector. Now, in Debian, getting your video card to work can be a tedious task at best. This makes it pretty easy. You just choose what video card you're running and install the proprietary or open source software to run that video card. So that, I like that a lot. The KWheezy Profiler we just talked about, where you can manage your user profiles. The KWheezy Localizer, which we were looking at, says it is a GUI tool for easily adding and changing the system, KDE, LibreOffice, and Firefox/Thunderbird locales for regional settings. The keyboard selector, which you saw at the beginning of the video. You can toggle screens. If you have multiple screens, you can toggle your screen layouts from right here in a GUI. Very easy to manage. And you can toggle your taskbar, whether or not you want it always visible, auto hide. Now that, in my opinion, was a little unnecessary because KDE makes it pretty easy to manage your taskbar as it is. But okay, if they want to make it a little bit easier, fine. Here's another user manager that gives you, this is this is more for user administration rather than backing up settings. This will allow you to change the password and set detailed user information. So they've really gone out of their way to give the user a friendly experience, especially again for those that are new. UNet Bootin is already installed, which if you wanted to make a live boot thumb drive, and Wine is installed. For utilities, once again, just loads and loads of stuff installed already. Which brings me to, I did have a couple of problems with KWheezy, and one of the things is the bloat. Now, I understand that they wanted to give the user more out of the box, but in my opinion, they went a little bit overboard on, well, they went a lot overboard on this. I would have liked to seen them pare down their applications that they're offering. They're just giving way too much, in my opinion. It's to the point where you have so much to offer in this distro that the user may have a hard time knowing what does what, especially a new user. I would have liked to seen better descriptions in their menus of what some of these applications do. They did an okay job at it. They do have notes as far as what things do, but they really need to pare it down. For example, perfect example of what I'm talking about is under Office. They have both Calligra and LibreOffice installed, two full Office suites, which is overboard. That's overkill. You really don't need it. Now, LibreOffice is the standard in Linux right now, LibreOffice or even OpenOffice to a lesser extent. So I would have liked to seen Calligra just as something different being made the default in KWheezy. They just need to slim it back. That's the point. The other issue that I had, and it is more of a personal preference, was with the theming. Now, I do like what they've done here as far as the pink on silver on black theme. It's visually appealing, it's easy on the eyes, but it's not cohesive throughout the entire system. When you launch Dolphin, for example, you can see that you have this glaring contrast. You have the blue Dolphin with the blue glow shadow around it, and the icon themes really don't stand out, especially when you're talking about a desktop environment that's as customizable as KDE, where all you have to do is go into the settings manager and download new themes, new icon sets. I would have liked to have seen a more cohesive flow with the colorations and icons. So the entire look and feel of KWheezy could use a little bit of spit and polish. Now, it's not that difficult for the user to go ahead and do that themselves. If I were to use this as an installed primary operating system, I would go through and do that, and that would be no problem. But just for a more complete out-of-the-box experience, I would have liked to have seen that already done. Just two minor drawbacks: pare back the system and polish off the look and feel of it a little bit more. But other than that, KWheezy, when I was running it as an installed system, did not crash on me. It was very stable. Of course, being built on Debian, it will be. It had a lot to offer, too much in my opinion, but it met every need that I could have possibly had. So in that regard, they met their goal. All in all, KWheezy is a pretty good distro. Not my favorite, but I can see where a newcomer to Linux may find a distribution like KWheezy a safe place to begin, something more familiar. Well, thank you very much for joining me. I hope you download KWheezy. I hope you install it and give it a try. Let me know what you think. If there's another distro out there you would like to see a review on, please leave it in the comments below. Please don't forget to rate, subscribe, and comment. Leave me your questions or emotional outbursts. And I hope to see you again soon with a new video. Thank you.